Well, morning guys. So this will be video 122. So basically yesterday is all in one video. So that's well, it's rendering at the moment at home. Anyway, so I'm going to carry on with this and get this right front fender knock back some more, get it dialed in a bit more, and then I'll carry on with the rear fenders, mud guards, what do you want to call them. Yeah, so I need to get this dialed back a bit further. They come up alright, it's just because they were heavily damaged, and then I panel beated them out the best I could. You know, like, you gotta get to a point where you gotta say, like, how much more time am I going to spend on a certain stage with the metal work. You know, like, at the end of the day, like, you could have spent, you know, another 2 days trying to get every imperfection out of it. Because they're so badly beaten, you know, you get them as close as you think that they are within reasonable shape, so you don't need a lot of filler. And I mean, when I mean a lot of filler, I mean thick. You know, you might cover the whole thing in filler and knock, you know, 95% of it off what you put on, and just leave that last, you know, thin little layer, hiding all the little bumps and imperfections and bits and pieces. Because, you know, as I've said in the earlier videos, 100-year-old panel, been through hell. You know, it was a farm. It basically was a car that was turned into a farm truck. And who knows what it went through? Probably fences and all sorts of things. And because it was pretty beaten up. I could see that just from the evidence from the guy before me when they started, you know, 10, 15 years ago. They had straightened it out a reasonable amount. I went back through it, used that profile gauge to try and get the edges to a fairly good shape, inside and out, you know, because a lot of them places it didn't have that shape in it anymore. It was sort of flattened out rounded, so I beat all that back and used heat and whatever and try to get it back into the most uniform shape that we could get without spending, you know, days or weeks on it to get it blemish free. It wouldn't happen. So yeah, then I come along and just mudded it out, you know, a couple of times, blocked the back, you know, rubbed it back with 80 grit, smashed it out. Right, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. That looks fairly reasonable. We'll crack some high build on it. You know, you block it out again. Okay, still got some marks in it. No, it's definitely not perfect yet. You know, we'll get it a little bit further than what it is now. Smash some more high build on it. Block it out again. You know, until we get rid of all the imperfections and marks out of it. You know, I think I'm not going to worry about any glazing putting on at this point on these, unless this happens to be something I really see that's bad. You know, we might scrape a little bit in here and there, but basically what we'll do is we'll get to that point, we'll put another 4 or 5 layers on it, maybe more, and we'll block it back until we touch steel again. You know, and when I mean steel, I don't mean massive patches. You know, we're talking little dots here, there, maybe a little bit on the edge, sort of thing, and we'll block it back to that again. And if there's any imperfections, then we'll go through and fill them. Anything that's smallish, but you think, yeah, the high build's not going to take that out. We'll smear a little bit of glazing putty out. So we'll get it close, and we'll get it almost down so you can sort of see the steel coming through. You know, like patches like this, but the steel's just starting showing through. So get it down to that point, put your glazing putty in it after the next prime. and then we'll go from there. It just is what it is. It takes material to get straightened out, you know. I've knocked most of this back with 80 just because I think that's what I needed to do. Or just to get it, rip it back hard and try and get it smooth and a consistent feel. You know, I would have achieved the same thing with 240, but it just would have taken longer. Well, I think I pulled these red fenders around here, and I was just looking at one of them. And I think I'm going to have to go back to heat shrinking. The one I did the really big heat shrink on is fine, but it's the same problem on the other one, but in a different place. I'll turn the camera around. Oh. Yeah, unfortunately, when I was panel beating and everything, I missed it. I completely missed it. So in this one here, this is one I've heat shrink, and I pulled this back into shape, like to pull that back in, because it was sitting up here. It was all stretched out of shape. And on the other one, on this front side, you can see here the shape of this. You know, it's all tucked in quite nice. It's a nice tight tuck, and I didn't see it until now. So like looking at it, and I was going, what's going on here? You can see here it's nice and tightly tucked in, and then here it's sitting up. This is high, whereas it should be sort of quite flat, almost flat, tucking back in below this outer height. Whereas here it's actually above. So, and I can see why. In here, where this has been badly bent and broken, I didn't pick it up. That was badly out of shape, which is a real pain in the arse to be at this point, because I'm going to have to do a little bit here too. It's actually a bit high here. I just didn't pick it up when I was panel beating and body filling. Why, I don't know. It's just one of those things, I guess. No, because I was looking at the rest of them where this had been all bent and twisted and it wasn't bad, you know, like I've got to block it out and whatever and smooth it all out. But, you know, I thought, yeah, this side's pretty good. That might be a little bit high here too, but no, it wasn't bent up and twisted like that one was. But unfortunately, I probably just didn't look at the front quite hard enough and pick up that this here was badly bent out of shape. So I'm going to have to strip all this. I'm probably not going to have to go back too far, but I'm going to probably have to strip this all off and revisit that. And yeah, what I'll do is I'll probably put the block of wood on here, and I'm going to have to heat and shrink and pull this back in, and then refill that and high build it, which is a bit of a pain. But you know, sometimes you just don't see things until you're looking at it and going, what's wrong with that? Why doesn't that look right? You know, and that sucks, but you know, I'm better to do it now than get, you know, to paint it and then go, that just sticks out like a sore thumb that something's not right there, so I need to fix it. So what I might do is I might block that one out and not panic about blocking the rest of this. We'll get this piece fixed, you know, and probably knock in here, strip all the paint off it, all the filler and everything off it, knock that, get that shrunken back in because it's obviously overstretched, and yeah, and then re-smew it and whatever, and hopefully I can, you know, we mightn't better high build these again until maybe Friday or something, but at least if I can get this fixed, get some body filler on it, we can hopefully catch a step, if you know what I mean. But anyway, that sucks, but that's life. Oh well. I'm pretty much going to take right down to here and Yeah. Take it all off. Take it all off. Take it all off. All I can say is, motherfucker. Oh. I was going to send that along, but I thought, no, screw it, we'll get into this and get it fixed. Oh, that sucks. We'll try one of these, strip the tabs out from America, right? Right, so hopefully I can explain this why I've done this. It's too stretched out. I didn't pick it up for a start off. I didn't think it looked that bad, but when I seen the primer on it and I had a decent look at it, and I was saying the why, what's wrong with that? Yeah, it's like, you gotta fix it. Can't leave it like that, you know. So we've got that profile here. So we've got this profile here. So I run down here. Hopefully you can see it when I get down here. It's way up now. This is out, quarter of an inch or more. And it's even worse here. It should follow. So I'll bring you in this side, hopefully you can see. This is why I've done it. So I'll hold that ear and follow it down. You can see it lift off the fennel. See, with the ear under here. And see worse here. So that here should be touching that, and it's not. It's not until it gets back down to about here that it's kind of close, if you know what I mean. This is a bit flat through here, but it's transitioned into a different thing. But this first sort of section of this down here and this are basically touching again by the time you come down to here, and then it starts rolling out. But from sort of here, now it starts lifting away almost instantly. And it's not until you get back to basically where I've drawn the line. So I probably actually need to strip a bit more of the paint off here. Yeah, so that whole thing's just, it's pushed up, and just, unfortunately when I sort of first looked at it, I don't know why I didn't see it. Unfortunately that's life. We're all human, we all make mistakes. Sometimes it's not until you get a bit further on you think, shit, what's wrong with that? Something's not right. And that's what it was when I picked the panel up and set it down here, and it was like just having a bit of a. I haven't had a real good look at them since. Whoa! I haven't had a real good look at them since. I'll just lock that focus. Lock the exposure. I haven't had a real good look at them since I high built it, if you know what I mean. As I'm pulling up each panel up here, I now have a good study and just go, oh yeah, no, everything looks all right, you know, it just needs ripped back and brought back into, you know, just smooth out that next step, basically. And I was looking at that and I was just like, something's not right there, and that's what it is. This is just too high. This whole thing needs, from sort of here around, needs pulled back in. So this is all overstretched, and there's a little bit in here too. That's probably not too bad, but it needs a bit of shrinking just here. There's a hump out of it. And probably because it was reasonably smooth and it wasn't terribly bent on the side, it didn't really pick it up until I was sort of just looking at it, and it lost that shape, which is a bit of a pain. But yeah, I need to fix it, so I'm going to fix it. So I need to put the gas bottles back on the new bottles back on the plant, and yeah, I guess we'll get shrinking. So actually I need to go get a bucket of water and get myself set up here so I can heat it with water, heat it with water, and get this to pull back in. This is sort of not one of those spots. I could probably heat it and knock it in and then hit it with water, heat it and knock it in with water, yeah, something like that, because it's sort of, this is not one of these spots where you can sort of, because I'm trying to get this piece back in, I'm not shrinking a, how do you want to say it, I'm not just trying to shrink one spot or get rid of one high spot that's been overstretched. You know, I'm trying to pull this whole section, so I've got to just try and get all this metal to shrink back in, and then I can hammer and dolly it a bit, which is a bit of a pain, but that's what it is. But anyway, I'll carry on and get myself sorted out here. Alrighty, I'll just turn the gas on these bottles. And I'll get we'll get the torch lit up, but yeah, basically I'm going to have to start from here. I'll probably have to take more paint off here and blend it back in a bit better, but I think if I start heating, so I'll just take a little bit more off before I leave like that. Just get that last little piece that I probably need to come up. We'll come up past that line, I don't know, the line that I drew on there. Another couple of inches, I'll come back here, just back here a little bit. All that done now. Shouldn't need that for a bit. So I've got a bucket of water here with a rag in it, so I can, as I heat, I'll heat, and I'll come along with the hammer, heat it, give it a couple of whacks, heat it, or cool it, heat it, a couple of whacks, try and get this to pull in. Close without blocking this too much. Might be on. What's going on there? That's better. I could put just a normal welding tip on there, but the welding tip I've got here is pretty huge, so I haven't got any others, so it doesn't really matter. I'll start up here. Start about here somewhere. not hitting it hard, just a couple of gentle taps to pull it down. And then keep it cool. It's pulling in already, I can see it. A little cherry in that. A little bit more. I can see it pulling in hugely. Messy trick, but I'm just going to stop there for a minute. I'm just going to stop there for a minute and I'm just going to get that profile tool back on here. Anyway, it'll dry. So get that profile tool on here and just see how much it's moved. Like I know I need to come back into here more, but I just want to see how the rest of this is sitting. To me that looks like 100 times better already. So coming down there, still touching, still touching, still touching, still touching. Yeah, and then we start lifting away again. So it's working perfectly. Now I haven't hit it hard, just a little bit of heat, and then where I put the heat, just a few taps like that, and because it's soft, it'll just bang bang, and it'll just move. I probably should have done this the first time, but I've picked up watching actually Carl Fisher at Mikey Kustoms. I've picked up it's just a huge amount of tips. Just little things that just make, moving metal. You can just, basically it's just like a light bulb going on. So if you haven't watched Carl Fisher from Mikey Kustoms, even Arco, but yeah, that Carl Fisher, man, he's just a wealth of knowledge and he's good at explaining things. Makes just a huge difference. You can be the best body man in the world, but if you can't tell how to do it simply, that everybody can understand, it makes it very hard to teach somebody. But I don't know, he's just got that way to communicate with the average guy that's trying to do it, and it's just like light bulb, So probably what I'll do when I come back down here, when I'm finished, I'll probably just hold the dolly in there and I'll just walk that dolly around there, and probably just on this edge too, just because there's probably a few little humps and bumps, but we can just give it a wee bit of a massage and be done with it, So yeah, sweet, I'll have to clean the paint off the inside there too, because it's all burning off. But I'd rather catch this now, fix it, and be done with it. So we'll carry on. So I need to come down to about here. But simple fix, Just wish I'd picked it up first time, but that's life, Right, we'll just see where we're at again. I can feel that this is still hot. Cool, I can feel that this piece here is so a bit puckered up. But we'll just see where we're at with the rest of it. See if we're going to come back up here anywhere. Start back up here. Just slide down. Oh, it's pretty reasonable. Actually shrink a little bit out here too. It's definitely better. Definitely better. So we'll start to make that line wander off though too. So you might just actually need to come in and just hammer in here out a little bit. But we're getting there. Just check the time, see what the time is. Right, so I've done a little bit more bugger all basically. I'm just about to head home for lunch. I just hammered it a little bit and shrunk a little bit more. I need to do a bit more yet. What it is, I got this hammer here and just run it and around behind here, just along this line, just try and get a little bit better shape in there. And now I shrunk a wee bit more here, and I actually try to knock some of this down a little bit, but I'll probably need to come back in from behind and just reshape that a little bit. I'm just looking along here. It's not too bad now. I'll probably need to shrink. God, you can't even see where I'm freaking pointing the camera. Hold on. That's better. I need to probably shrink a little bit more just in this line here. I may need to revisit somewhere else, but it's a lot better than what it was. I probably just need to put a little bit more shape in this piece again, just with that same hammer. It was like a puckered up spot here, so I shrunk sort of out here a little bit. I'm not sure about out here yet. I haven't sort of looked at this too much, but yeah, that is what it is. And then, as I said, I'll have a quick look at the other side later on, just to see whether I need to do something within here, but at least that's better. I've got it to sit down. That follows that contour reasonably well now. I'll go over it a couple of times and just double check everything, but shame I didn't pick it up the first time, but at least it's going to be fixed. Right, I've been playing with this for quite a while longer, just trying to get the gist of it pretty good. I've put the profile gauge on the other side, on the other guard, just to get an idea of what that sat like, and it does sit fairly hard down. I get a little bit here, I get a little bit of lift through here where this is just a bit full instead of being a little bit flat, but I think it's probably about as good as it gets without spending crazy amounts of time on it. Like I was probably spending a couple of hours just playing, just trying to get it right. I could probably bring this down a little bit further. It's sort of hard to say. That's sort of where it's high. Like I could probably pull this line in a little bit But if you stand back, it doesn't actually look that bad, if you know what I mean. Let's see if I can get you as a sort of a decent spot there to see. Look, it doesn't look too bad. This is probably a little bit low. I've actually probably, well, this isn't probably quite full enough, if you know what I mean. I don't know if this is low, but it doesn't look bad. Like it, that line looks reasonably good. There might be the odd high spot that I can knock down still. I've tried to. She's just seen that one there. Just trying to knock the worst of it down. Just to try and get rid of the worst, the highs and the lows. So when I come along with body filler, I'm not going to, as I say, like get any stupid spots that pop out really badly. I think that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. Just have a look. Just make sure it doesn't look. This line looks like it might have run off a little bit down here now because I've pushed it in a little bit. But that there doesn't look too bad, and I can a little bit of body filler down here to bring this right. Isn't going to be a massive thing. At least it's not sticking way out high now, like it was. It was, bloody at least double that thickness off there before. Whereas now it's starting just off a little bit. I've got a little bit of clearance. Probably, in the worst spots it might be a third of that, if you know what I mean. Which I can live with that. A little bit of body filler along there and back on here, and get it blended in, and it'll sit pretty nice. But before it was just really piggy. But unfortunately, I didn't see it before. It didn't look that. Obviously, when I looked at it, I didn't think it was that bad. But yeah, it was. Well, when I've got a nice consistent finish on it, and it was semi-glossy, because of the finish of the primer. When I picked it up and sat it down there, I was just looking at it, it's like something's just not quite right there, and I could see it. So we had to fix it. But what I'll do is I'll run over this now with the Scotch Brite disc again, try and clean this up. I'll clean it up on the inside, and yeah, we'll fix up some mud, put some mud back in here, over here, and see if we can at least block that out. And while we're doing that, we'll blend it into the rest of it, if you know what I mean. I'll just lock all this back with 80, and I'll try and blend this in with 40 and 60, and then try and finish it off with 80, so at least it's similar level to this, and then hopefully Heidi will bring it all in. Didn't need to, might give that a couple bloody smacks. Just see that sitting there. Since we've got the handles out, those down, better. Could be worse. Could be that. But anyway, so yeah, at least that is better now, and we'll just blend it back in. Bit of a shame to have to frickin' spend a couple of hours trying to fix it, but better than it, like I said, painted and sticks out like a sore thumb, a few weeks down the track and think shit, and then go through all this to fix it. Then you're repainting the whole fender. A little bit of high build and some body fill is worse than going back through the whole thing, if you know what I mean. Anyway, we'll carry on. Actually, I forgot. Probably what I'll do is I'll sand this out, and I'll better blow some etch on there before I put body filler. I just don't like putting body filler on raw steel. It's probably okay if I do it right now, but I'd rather have etch between steel and the body filler, mainly because as the body filler goes off, it gets hot and it sweats, and it can cause rust in between, if you know what I mean. Basically, it gets rust in between the sweat and rust the steel in between the body filler. I find, you know, I've seen it happen before, you know, and then all of a sudden you get 3 or 4 years down the track and get a piece of body filler that'll fall off, and you can see it's all rusting behind because either that or the water's got through the body filler. It may be wet sanding or something like that, but if that etch is there, or epoxy or something like that, that super etch is sort of like an epoxy, so yeah, it doesn't allow that water back through to the steel in theory, so it just stops it from the body filler sweating against the steel. That's my take on it anyway. Right, well, I'm getting a little bit frustrated. When this block was, when I first started, this block was good. We're using a sticky back paper on it, but I've found since I've been using it a bit, and sometimes you might, you know, catch the end of paper or whatever, and you pull it up and okay, get a bit of dust underneath it and whatever. What I'm struggling with is to try and, sometimes you might been using it for a while and then all of a sudden you bend it around something and the paper will pop off, okay, and you get some dust and dirt in there. But what the hell do I clean this thing with now to try and keep the paper to stay on there? You know, like I've just used 2 pieces. I'll wipe it down. I even used a bit of brake clean just to try and get the surface really nice and clean. Let it dry, whatever. I actually used a heat gun a couple of times just to blow it down to try and evaporate any crap out of it. Got another fresh piece of paper, put it on, use it for a couple of minutes, then frickin' paper starts popping off. What do you guys use to clean these bloody things with? If they get a bit, you know, get a bit of dirt and shit on them, you know, what are you using to? Because I jumped on YouTube to see how to clean a Durablock, you know, to get the paper to stick back on it, and there's nothing. So I'll just be interesting to see what you guys think. Alright guys, so I'll just splash a bit of etch in the, or super etch, whatever you want to call it, epoxy primer, in the spray gun. And I just gave this a quick hit basically, just so I'm not putting the body filler on raw steel. Yeah, if it was just a small area I wouldn't have panicked, but because it's such a big section, I didn't want to risk just putting it on bare steel. I don't like doing it. As I've said, like, you know, every country is different, you know, the climates are different. You know, I've struck so many times, you know, a car that's had body filler put straight on steel. Probably not quite so bad right at the moment because it's quite warm, but, you know, like a cold panel and then the body filler going off because it gets hot. Sweat creates moisture in between the steel and the body filler, and then eventually it'll pop off because it's rusted in between. Whereas this just stops it from happening. And just put your body filler over the top of that, and normally pretty good. Now this is a super etch epoxy. So it's not a 2-pack, but it's a good single stage, just single pack epoxy, zinc phosphorus, super etch. So it's kind of an epoxy primer, but it's more of a super etch primer. So it's kind of I don't know, I suppose it's not really, it's kind of the best of both worlds, if you know what I mean. It's not really an etch, but it's kind of an epoxy as well. So I reckon epoxies are obviously better than etch primers, but with doing what I'm doing it, spraying it, you know, leaving it maybe a day or 2 or whatever, or even a couple of weeks in this sort of temperature, it's not too much of a problem. You know, you put your highboard, like if you're going to epoxy or etch that and then you leave it for 6 months before you even touched it, well, you're going to have issues. But, you know, because you might get moisture going back through that, back into the steel, and then it might start flash rusting from underneath. But with the time frame that we're doing it in, it should be fine. You know, that's one of those things. But I'm going to bugger off now, come back in the morning and hit that with some body filler and carry on. Get it blocked, the rest of it blocked out. I'll block the bulk of it out. I haven't quite finished. No, I've sort of just roughed it in. I might just scuff it up a bit, and then once we've done the body filler, we'll just blow it down with more etch or more high build, because there's a few marks and bits and pieces. That's a low spot, as you can see. That's low. Hopefully you can see that. Sunlight's coming through, so playing out with the camera a bit. But yeah, the bulk of it doesn't look too bad. There's a few marks and bits and pieces that need a little bit of dressing. Oh, I actually ground this back a little. It was actually sticking proud, and it was actually sticking out here. So you might have to grind that back just a little bit more. So that's alright, but we can deal with that. You know, it's one of those things you just pick up and you fix. Looks like that, you know. It wasn't quite what I wanted, but at least I got it now. So that's the main thing. Anyway, catch you tomorrow. Right, morning guys. How you going? So I'm not quite sure where I am in the videos again. I just haven't had time to finish editing what I've got. So anyway, got the etch on that last night. It looks way better even just with the etch on it. The shape looks better from what it was yesterday, which is good. It's funny how you can look at a fender when you've been doing all the other bodywork that was bad, not think it looks that bad, but when you come back to, you know, got it all one colour, you know, how sometimes you can just look at it and go, something's not quite right with that. And when you ever, you know, get a profile gauge or something like that and run it around, you actually realise that something is out of shape. You know, I've fixed other panels like that, you know, where you've sort of been doing all the other bodywork on a vehicle, and you think, you know, you think, oh yeah, that door's not bad compared with all the rest of it. But when you come back to it, you're actually going to do actually metal work to that too, because, you know, it might have had like a bow in the door or something like that from being hit at some point. You didn't realise it was that bad because everything else looked way worse. Sometimes, you know, you get a car that's rough. But anyway, I'm going to get some filling mixed up and get it spread back on that piece where I tore that stuff off the other day, and get that done. So yeah, so I'll get this done and I'll get back to you, because I've already done this video once and I spent 7 or 8 minutes waffling crap. So anyway, we'll get into it. Righty, so I've got that mudded in. I just basically just sanded everything off. I need to come back and obviously put some more glazing putty in or something. Just fill up. There's a few imperfections and obviously marks and bits and pieces where I haven't got quite enough in here, haven't got enough in here. I missed in here because the body filler was going off. And there's actually a couple of little spots around the other side, around here, which need something. This is a bit of a low spot in here, and there's a bit of a mark there. I was actually, I might actually put a little bit around here because this is a little bit rough, and I know that panel comes up against it, but I'm just not quite sure how much of it's going to be seen. So I just want to improve that situation a little bit. It will possibly come out with high build, but I just think along this edge here, it's a little bit rough. So I might just put a smear of glazing putty from sort of like here and just blend it around into this corner a little bit just to smooth it out. And I might, yeah, I don't know, I banged a bit of this out. This was quite bent in, but I don't think it's seen, so I'm not going to panic too much. And I might put a little bit more just in some of these funny spots up here where it's sort of underneath the thing, but there's still a bit of a hollow in some of them. So I might just spread a little bit more putty into some of those, even though it's not really seen. I just don't want water to sort of sit in those spots, if you know what I mean. It's one of those things, I don't know, it's just, if it's somewhere to trap water, it's going to trap it. I've actually knocked this down a little bit. That's sitting a little bit proud, so I might just smear a little bit of something in there. Actually, I probably won't paint that, I think it'll just take up with paint. I actually did spread a little bit more body filler, and there's a couple of little spots around here that were a little low, so I just knocked that off. Which I'm actually bit stupid. I didn't fill that hole, but I don't know what it was actually for. That's a dumb thing. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, you can. It's a factory hole, so I don't really know why that's there. It's not on the other side. So I'm in two minds whether I fill it up or, or do something with it. It's a bit of a... Actually, what I should do, I should drag out those photos and just have a look at the car that's from Australia to see whether there's anything on there. I don't know, it could have been something that they've put on there at some point in its life, you know what I mean? It might have had like a little reflector on it or something, you wouldn't have known. Because sometimes, I know back in the day, some of the cars over here had some strange little blue lights and bits and pieces on them for, for at night and all sorts of funny things so people knew which direction you were heading. Just weird, just weird concepts they had. At some point, instead of realising, that the white lights were headlights and the, red lights were tail lights. But a lot of vehicles didn't have brake lights and tail lights and bits and pieces like that. Some back in the day, so sometimes they had, funny funny coloured lights and bits and pieces on them. So I'm just not sure whether I need to fill that or not. I was just actually thinking about it. And I was like, I probably should do something with that. But yeah. But apart from that, I'm pretty happy now. There's a bit of glaze and putty fixed imperfections here. And just do a little bit with that, and a little bit on here. That's a bit of a hole. And I don't think I'll get that. I could actually give that a wee smack with a hammer. Just give that a wee tap with a hammer. It's a bit awkward to get into too. I'll work that one out later. But I can even actually hold the dolly in behind and hit around here and get that to lift a little and then block it out again. It's just a funny little spot there. That I can just put some glazing putty in. It's 1.5 dozen the other, if you know what I mean. But yeah, but apart from that, that one's almost ready to go, and then I can work on this other one. Now that I've almost got this back to where it needs to be to catch up with everything else, apart from obviously some high build on that. But we can get that, and I can blow an extra layer or two on that, sort of blow that piece first a couple of times and then do the rest of it, if you know what I mean. And obviously flick some on the inside where I burnt all the paint off the other day, heating and shrinking it. But that's where we're at anyway. Righty, got another rant coming. Again about this COVID bullshit and car shows and whatever. It's real stupid because a lot of the ones down here have been cancelled. There's some drag racing coming up 28th down here. So that's still being able to run at this stage. Which is, okay, it's around a car track, a lot of people, there's going to be a lot of people there because everything else has been cancelled. The Lawrence Red Rock and Hop actually on the 27th is being cancelled, but they're still going to have the burnouts. Like, what the hell's the difference? There's going to be a whole heap of people, there probably won't be as many, but I guarantee a lot of the people that were going to go to the Red Rock and Hop will probably still go there, still take the cars, still have them in a big massive paddock, and people better walk and have a freaking look anyway. And they'll be still doing the burnouts at the same place. So if that does go ahead, I'm going to try and go to that. There's another car show coming up. I can't remember, it might be the weekend before the drag racing and the Rev Rock and Hop burnout competition, but it's not that car show. That's just been cancelled again or postponed again because the guy just got threatened with jail action and huge fines. But the stupid thing is, last weekend in New Zealand, like I'm talking 3 or 4 hours up country a bit, or might be about 4 hours up country, we're a wee bit further up. A friend of mine that I used to go to school with, he put a post up, you know, with a few photos of some cars and bits and pieces, and I said, what the hell? He said, no, we're getting all our ones cancelled down here, you know, people have got to close them down, otherwise they're getting, like this one in Dunedin, which we tried to go to last year, but it pissed down with rain. I did a little video on that. But, yeah, he got threatened with, you know, jail and huge fines, but this one last weekend that had 200 to 300 cars in it, okay, it's reasonable size, you know, 5,000 or 6,000 people went to it. Why didn't they close that one down? You know, like it's, you know, if we're all going to close it all down, well, let us all go, you know, like, what is the difference? I don't get it. And then you can have like car racing and drag racing that seems to be okay. Like, you still got people there in cars lined up against the fence watching, you know, and in stands and stuff, watching cars go past. So what's the fucking difference? It just drives me insane, you know. And it's like they won't let the car show go ahead for the Rev Rock and Hot, but you can have 1,000 people gather around a small, I wouldn't say a small burnout pad, but a smallish area, so everybody's condensed because they're trying to watch. You know, like, you can't stand 2 metres apart or a metre apart. You know, like, it's retarded, you know. I don't get it. Like, you know, I can guarantee they'll get closed down too. Because a lot of these things are all advertised through, there's a couple of Facebook pages here that advertise a lot of the car shows and events and bits and pieces going on. And I'm bloody sure that, you know, the whoever's in the governments and bits and pieces and the powers above, they think they control the world at the moment. I'm sure they're going to jump on all these, but some of them, these things will go ahead and some of them won't. But it just drives me insane. Like, why can you have one thing but not another, you know? And then like the one from last weekend, that was fine, you know, 200, 300 cars and, you know, 5,000 or 6,000 people in the event. So what's the difference between that one and the one in Dunedin that the guy's just been threatened with jail and fines? You know, what's the difference between that and the drag racing or the burnouts? But can't have the other car shows that go along with it. You know, what the fuck's the difference? Oh, it's so frustrating. It's just dumb. You know, the stupid thing is, down here, the population is 90% vaccinated. At least, you know. It's just dumb. It's like, if this vaccine fucking works, what are they worried about? You know, the other people that haven't been vaccinated yet, you know, obviously they either don't want to be or haven't decided. So they either don't go or wear a mask or take the risk, you know, like we take the, as I said the other day, like we all take the risk driving along a road. Like, prime example, I was driving along here, there was a guy in front of me in another car, driving like a lunatic, you know. And it's like, well, obviously he doesn't give a shit about anything. Like, he's putting other people's lives at risk. So, you know, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Like, it takes, you know, there's obviously a lot of people who take this vaccine here, but then you get other countries. I can't remember who the hell it was. One was telling me about it. It was one of the European countries. They didn't even get to 50% vaccinated and they pulled the pin because too many people were dying from blood clots. And do you know what the stupid thing is? There was a girl here recently in one of the small towns, driving through it, young, like 30 something, had her kids in the back. The day before she had a second COVID jab, she died driving the car from a stroke. So it's had a blood clot to the brain. Like the day before she had a jab. So what the fuck does that tell you? Is this shit safe or is it not? And there's another country in the world. I'd like to frickin' remember what it is. If I edit it, I'm going to find it, remember what country it is, and fucking people Google it. Because like, I'm going to make sure too before I do put this up, but I'm sure that we're like barely 50%, like they were like 40 something percent, and they pulled the pin. They canned the vaccine the whole fucking lot and just got done with it and just let people go back to normal because the vaccine wasn't fucking safe. They were having too many people dying from blood clots and stupid shit like that. So, a lot of governments are fucking hiding a lot of shit. It's not right. Anyway, I'll get back to work.